that got trapped when the earth plates collided and has been pressurizing inside those mountains for literally millions of years. And it just turned into this wild adventure, these wild chronicles of almost dying on the Himalayan mountains, hanging out with Tibetan families, sleeping on the floors next to the Indus River, almost dying going up on the van because we had this driver, Naveen, who secretly, I think, may have been boozing.
That's how I look at AI. So it's like you gotta, I don't think there's any getting around it. Like you either are playing with it or you're gonna get destroyed by it.
I made a decision early on to source from the Himalayan mountains. The reason for that is because, and it's really not talked about enough, and admittedly we need to do a better job of explaining this, but it's the most potent Shilajit on the planet.
But he was just on a podcast saying the other day that our grandchildren will marry an AI robot.
No.
Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome back to Talking St. Pete. I'm your host, Ryan Bogdan. Before I jump into today's awesome guest, I'm really excited about this one. I want to let you know that this podcast is sponsored by Bogdan Homes here at Keller Williams St. Pete. So if you know anyone in the greater Tampa Bay area, St. Pete included, Clearwater, we're here to help. Maybe they just need someone to do their roof, a plumber, an electrician. We have a vendor list so long, we can help you with that as well. And now onto my awesome guest, a good friend of mine, a great business mind, entrepreneur, visionary, Pat Balls, the founder of Chuga.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I'm excited for you.
Bales.
Yes, Bales. Oh, shit, my bad, bro. Fuck. Oh, all right, and then he's my good buddy. I say his name wrong. Pat Bales, everybody.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's bad, dude. I'm sorry.
No, bro, it's hilarious. I used to go to wrestling meets back in the day.
There's a story. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
bro,
you told me this. That's what I said.
There's so many stories. It's hysterical.
No, dude. I think that's what I was pulling from because I remember thinking, I was like, all right, Pat, like, is about his last name. And I remember, and then there I go and jack it up. And I remember the wrestling story now.
Yeah, we used to make some crass jokes that I won't say here, but my family has fun with it, man.
Yeah.
We, like in the wrestling meets, they didn't know how to say my last name. So
I'd be spell it for everyone.
It's Baals.
Right.
So I would, be getting pumped up, and I'm in my singlet, and then the announcer would hit me with that, and then I'm like, "You just ruined the momentum, man. How are you gonna do that?" But we
Pat Bales.
we had so much fun with it. Like the high school football team, they called me Balls.
Yeah.
It was classic. Yeah.
It can't. You got to roll with it.
Our family thinks it's hilarious. No, we love it. We make more jokes.
All right, well, I'm glad
else.
the universe let me do that on purpose so you could tell that story.
Yeah.
But dude, you have a fascinating story about Chuga and how we got here, and even how we met. Shout out to Bill Carricker because
that's the genesis,
right? We wouldn't be here without Bill. I wouldn't be at KW without Bill.
That's crazy.
Bill has a bigger influence than he knows. So, and I know he's listening right now. So, shout out Bill.
Bill is listening, and that's funny because before we even take a step farther, I don't want to miss this opportunity to say it's called Chuga because of Bill's influence.
Really?
The business, yeah. So, I can break that story down.
Yeah,
if you want, or we can go somewhere else.
Well, no, we can go there. Let's get into it because people are listening and they go, "What the heck is Chuga?"
Yeah.
What is it?
Chuga is a holistic supplement company that I started in New Jersey, and then we brought it down here to Florida, and now we're expanding the catalog, and it is just that.
Yeah, but the main.
So I can get into the genesis of
how
it started, what it is.
Yeah, where do we start?
The depth of that.
Yeah,
let's go. Let me take a sip of this. So it all started with Shilajit, which is something in America most people had never heard of.
Dude,
Still to this day.
I told 3 people you were coming in today, and they said, "What do you do?" I said, "He sells Shilajit." They never heard of it.
Yeah, no. It is still something that's not well known today. In the niche cultures, the holistic world, the biohackers, our buddies who are into that, they all know about it. But it still hasn't hit the huge mainstream wave of CMOS or ashwagandha. It will probably in the next 2 years. But 5 years ago, imagine how desolate the awareness was back then, right? So what it is, and I'll start there. What is Shilajit? It's ancient plant matter from the Himalayan, Altai mountains, a couple mountain ranges over in Asia, that got trapped when the earth plates collided and has been pressurizing inside those mountains for literally millions of years. So it's been pressurizing and then seeps through the cracks, kind of like syrup to a tree, and it oozes out. And so the reason that I initially got interested by it is because I heard a story about these monkeys, which this is where the logo comes in, thousands of years ago, would go up to the Himalayas and they would get a little fingerful of it, put it in their mouth, and the villagers looked around and they said, why are the monkeys up on these mountains doing that? Why is something's going on in nature and we have to figure it out? And they did. And when they found this resin that was seeping out of the mountains, they realized that medicinally it was incredible. So in the Ayurvedic world of the Indian medicine, they started implementing it and understanding it. Very cool perspective they have on it. But ultimately, it's been this superfood mineral resin pitch that has 85 minerals in it. It has magnesium, potassium, iron, iodine. So it's very similar to sea moss in that way. But what it does is you take a scoop out and you put it in any liquid and it's water soluble. So it dissolves. Tea, coffee, water, you drink it, you're getting 85 minerals in you now.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, because it's this ancient mineral pitch, it has this component in it, which is really important if we're nerding out, called fulvic acid, which the fulvic and humic acid within it allows your body to absorb the nutrients way more. So if you take Shilajit, long story short, not only are you getting 85 minerals, but then you're also getting your cells opened up to being able to absorb way more nutrients that you're eating that day. So you see, it's like a very
No, that's sweet.
wild
No,
thing.
no. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can nerd out on that all you want. So, so it's really good. It has a great, I won't say it, but like a great user base. Like those that are aware of it are really into it, locked in on it. And so, what was your initial introduction to it? Because if you were early.
Yeah, I was super early. 2019 is when I heard about it and was gifted it from a friend, and got it at a Christmas, and then I was using it for the next 3 months after that. And my dad was always into the fitness, wellness, partial holistic space. He was always a huge advocate of that. Super cool dude, can talk your ear off.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always in that world of understanding, different kind of elements within that world. But I never was sticking to a straight regimen of protein all the time, creatine all the time. This was the first supplement that I was taking. 3 months goes by, I'm taking it every day. I'm loving it. I'm like, this stuff's really cool. One, the history and folklore got me. The monkeys, the villagers, the medicinal uses. No one knows about this. This is a black, gooey substance that is dissolving in my drink, and I can feel my energy increase, my stamina. I'm not crashing at 3. I'm going till 6, 7, 8. So I could feel it. And anecdotally, I was like, all right, what is this? What's going on? And then I started diving into the clinical studies. I'm seeing how it helps with men and women's hormonal systems. I'm like, this stuff is incredible, has a cool backstory. This is going to, it's already been huge in my life. This is going to blow up. And it has to blow up. And it should be done right.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was just a spokesperson for the next handful of months after that. I'm telling everyone about it. I have no vision of Chuga or anything yet. I'm just a fan of what it is, Shilajit.
Yep.
Tell my buddies, tell my family.
Yep.
Finally, I realized that it's really not popular at all. The market's not saturated in America. And that's when I start thinking, I'm like, wait, what if I just took on this mission? What if now that I know all about it, I've been researching it, I've been going through all the peer review studies, I've been going down the folklore, like I could, write a book on this at this point. Why don't I try to find some of the best on the planet? Like, where, you know what I mean? That would be a fun thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. I reached out. I just shotgun approached it. Reached out to all of these suppliers in India. Had no idea what I was doing. I was working at a music studio, delivering pizza. Good time. But think about that background. At that time, I know music. I know music production. I know how to make some cash on the side delivering pizzas. I'm trying to figure out how to put a supply chain together, finding all of this substance
from across the world,
all of the Shilajit from across the world, talk to people, get samples, then I have to figure out testing, FDA guidelines if I'm serious. So I'm trying to download all of this. But what do you do? Like what do you do?
Just one step at a time.
You just do it.
And you fail.
Yeah.
You fail forward.
You fail forward. You just do it. So I pick up the call or the phone. I pick up the call. I pick up the phone and I start talking to all of these people. And when you hear of suppliers, manufacturers, you don't even know what that means. And that's like so many things in business. At first, you don't even know what's behind the words, like we were talking about earlier, what's behind the hood of things. So I'm like, I'll call a supplier, manufacturer. I don't know how they talk. I don't know how they operate.
Right.
I don't know what they want. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But you just say what you say.
You-
Do you have Shilajit? Can you send me some? Starting a business? You know what I mean? So that's how that starts. Got a whole bunch. Started testing it. Figured out pretty quickly how to send it out to labs, really get quality testing. And also, I made a decision early on to source from the Himalayan mountains. The reason for that is because, and it's really not talked about enough, and admittedly, we need to do a better job of explaining this, but it's the most potent Shilajit on the planet because of the altitude that they harvest it from. They harvest Himalayan Shilajit at like 16,000 feet. So that way, the oxidation isn't really getting to it as much as, let's say,
It's like preserved a little more.
it's preserved more rather than Russia Shilajit, which is still good, but you're probably getting that at like 12,000, 10,000, more like 9,000 feet actually in Russia. So Himalayas is 16,000. It's more potent. So I was like, all right, we do that right. Everything else will follow. Made that decision. Finally got an idea of how are we going to get this jar? How are we going to get this Shilajit? How are we going to do everything in between?
And you were doing this in house for a little bit.
For a long bit.
Long bit.
Long bit. I was doing everything in house. So the first year, and let me know if I'm just going on a tangent.
No, this is a great story.
This is good?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I don't want to just be yapping, you know?
No.
But so the first year was actually very difficult. Like very difficult. It was a lot of banging your head on the wall, trying to figure it out, not making any sales, not knowing where to go, and just reaching that wall of obstacle over and over and over. That moment, like, you know, on the journey when, and this is honestly a really good tip for anyone who's starting on the journey. In the beginning, it feels like desperation. It feels like dissolution. Like it feels like you're looking out at a desert and you can't see anything on the other side or a huge ocean. And that's what that first year felt like, because I was taking so many shots. I'm putting this product together. I'm getting all of this great Shilajit product. I'm putting it in the jars. I'm taking pictures in my dad's basement because he has good lighting down there and a lot of lights. So, you know, getting a setup down there, watching YouTube videos. How do you do that? Watching YouTube videos, how to build a Shopify store, how to edit code, how to get things through customs, which was terrible, how to make sure you're aligned with FDA guidelines, how to get all these licenses. And then trying to market and getting shut down from Google. That first year was getting shut down from Google, getting shut down from Meta. Vague policy violations would take it to auditors. Yeah. And when you're starting a business, you don't have a grand throw around for, you know, someone to look over things. Maybe when you have good cash flow and it's a big, heavy hitting project that needs to get through, you can spend that kind of money. Early on, it's like $400 to get some. I'm delivering pizza. I'm working in a music studio. $400 to get Raul to look over this Google audit to figure out why I'm getting banned, because I'm following everything right and I'm scanning over all the violations day and night and making every edit and nothing's happening and nothing's working. How do you get it to the people? So that whole year was figuring all that out. And it even led me to a point, which I'll come full circle to, but I just was like, you know what? Got the product now, have the box, made all these relationships. We're a year in, got the website, have all of these different elements down. Let me just pack it up in the car, go to the shops in person, start chopping it up with people, talking to supplement brick and mortar stores, just see what happens, right?
Yep.
And that didn't work either. They were like, yeah, we don't know what this is. My pitch was probably horrible too, if you think about it. Like,
you're like, I got this stuff in the mountains.
I'm like, yeah, you know, this is from the mountains. It helps you with energy. It's gooey and black and really cool. And I don't know what I said, but it could not have been good. Don't know what I said. Couldn't have been good though, because clearly I didn't get in anywhere. But
yeah, that wasn't that, because you didn't get into stores right away.
Full circle moment. 3 years later, now we're in a lot of those stores.
That's cool.
Which is cool.
That is cool. Just took you some time. But you've come a great journey since you've started, because now you have your own warehouse. Yeah. You got a team in place. You got a badass website. You actually went to India. You went up to the mountains.
Yeah.
Like, tell us about that journey, because I think that's really what sets you apart from the other brands out there, is your journey and trek with the harvesters in India.
That was insane. Early on, that was always the vision. I always wanted to go wherever we sourced our products from, wanted to go there. And I always thought it'd be cool to, on our page, if you're clicking the product, to be able to see that. So that was always a vision to do that, especially the Himalayas. JP, our good buddy, ramped that up. That was a vision out there. He's like, let's do it now. Let's get this moving. So we started talking to friends in India about how that would even work. How do you get up to the Himalayas? One of JP's guys found Sonny, who was our tour guide, who was the man. They're all awesome. Sonny is such a cool dude. He knew how to get in contact with the harvesters, how to get up to the mountains, and it just turned into this wild adventure, these wild chronicles of almost dying on the Himalayan mountains, hanging out with Tibetan families, sleeping on the floors next to the Indus River, almost dying going up on the van because we had this driver, Naveen, who secretly, I think, may have been boozing. He's the man. I love him. He's the man. He's the man. But
he was a little wild.
He was the man. He's driving up the mountains, and from rubber to ledge, there is 6 inches at times. And that drop is football fields, hundreds of yards. Dead. If you turn a corner and we weren't going slow and it was night and someone else is coming, that's not even being hyperbolic, off the cliff. So that
puckers you up a little bit.
Yes. That was not dying phase 1.
Yeah, right.
Not dying phase 2 was then, well, first and foremost, getting the most awesome experience hanging out with Tibetan families and harvesters that took us in.
Yeah, it's really, how cool is that? That's so cool. That's really authentic.
Yeah, that was the best part. We were there. We met the people. Every step of that trip, the places we were staying, the people we were shaking hands with, breaking bread with, we were with them. It was not very far from a tourist type of travel.
Right, you were in
it.
Yeah.
Bathrooms are just holes in the ground in the mountains, sleeping on the floor.
That's real life, dude.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
and
that's
it was something I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, how did that change your perspective, if at all, on the product that you sell?
It brought it to life. And I'm a very visual thinker. So feeling the benefits, knowing where Shilajit comes from, knowing about the process, talking to the people involved, that can paint a very vivid picture. But it's nothing like doing it yourself, being there, going into the cracks, having to find the reservoirs, cracking it open, getting the rock, taking it down the mountain, slipping and sliding, and genuinely playing with your life at points. Now, the guys that do it all the time are very experienced. We did not have the proper gear. We kind of gung-hoed it and didn't realize how gung-ho
serious it was.
It was.
Yeah.
So our situation was a little more ragtag wild. They definitely have better operations of staying safe and doing it. But it was awesome because it painted the whole entire picture. It brought it to life, you know?
That's really cool, man. It's really cool that you from starting, just as a consumer and getting passionate about it, to working out of your bedroom basement, and then taking it to the spot of being boots on the ground, sleeping in the huts, taking the poos in the ground, doing whatever you had to do.
Everything.
Right. The wild trek up there and seeing it firsthand and experiencing not only where it comes from, but the culture behind how it's harvested.
Big time. And then even meeting our suppliers, knowing that their family had been doing it for over 100 years. He's telling us stories, our really good friend, he's telling us stories about his great-grandfather and how this all started. And we're walking around the lab, the factory, where they do all the testing, where they do the purification. Then, a few days later, we're up in the mountains with the harvesters. We're sliding down the mountain. Yeah, it was insane.
That's awesome. So, but and you got the super greens here as well. So, because you're doing more than just Shilajit, and we can stay on that for a little bit more, because I think it's really cool. It has a neat story, and it leans into more natural stuff, because people are I think it's been a shift that's been happening for years, but I think there's just become more and more awareness towards natural supplements. And I think in our diets, we're missing a lot of these minerals and things that we need, because the soils are over harvested where our crops are grown, and things 100%. Like that. What else are you seeing from taking this, or what's known in the community of Shilajit, of people who do take this?
So this is Yeah, I'm happy you asked it so that I can explain it on a podcast format because marketing's tricky sometimes because you have to make things concise.
Mm-hmm.
When you can speak about it fluidly, there's more context. So it's really incredible for hormonal function. First and foremost, energy, because you're getting all the minerals in your body that you're probably depleted in.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, first and foremost, will say, my energy is increased, my mood is increased. And why would that be? Well, if you're deficient in magnesium, you're naturally going to be a little more depressive, maybe depressed, a little moody.
Mm-hmm.
If you were deficient in potassium, that's going to affect your central nervous system. You might be more fight or flighty, a little more anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So remineralizing your body can completely fix all of these different ailments within you. And sometimes it can be very individual, like that example. If you're deficient, which most of us are, in a few different minerals, that can really throw you off kilter. You take Shilajit, 85 minerals, replenish that, calcium, magnesium, potassium, all that. Before you know it, a lot of these weird little tweaks in your body, you're like, oh, I feel way better. So that is kind of a little deeper approach to understanding it. But most people come back overall, that umbrella term, they'll say, I feel more energy. I feel really good. And then the second aspect, which I touched on first, hormonally, that is clinically been reviewed to, Shilajit helps because it's optimizing the body with all these minerals and the fulvic acid nutrient absorption. That is helping people like men with their testosterone. Women think, they hear that sometimes, that's where the marketing gets tricky. Is it going to surge my testosterone as a woman? No, because it wants to make your body reach the natural bases that it's supposed to be hitting because it's just giving it food. So it does not surge women's testosterone. It actually helps with fertility and helps with a lot of menstrual health, women's health. There's been people who have found a lot of, and I think I probably would have to make disclaimers to truly say certain things to be careful at, but people in the community, people who have PCOS, women who have all of these different hormonal issues, they find a significant improvement with a lot of these ailments through taking Shilajit, which is very cool to hear. We get testimonials all the time. It's a product that people are constantly reaching out to us saying incredible things, incredible stories. Like an example of that would be one guy recently called, he was 63, 64, had a landscaping company that he'd been running for 20 years. He was going to throw in the towel. He called us and I was talking to him and he said, my wife and I have been taking Chuga. We've been taking your Shilajit and I'm not going to throw in the towel for the landscaping business. I'm 63, but I think I got a few more years in me. I was very low energy and now I have pep in my step. I'm kind of excited. I don't know what is in this stuff, but I feel so much more vivacious. And I was like, oh, this is incredible. And stories on stories, I could go on and on.
Those type of testimonials keep you going.
Yes. People. That's the coolest part about all this. Talking to people, hearing stories, connecting. That's the best.
We're helping people.
Yeah.
And it's through a natural supplement that you're convicted behind.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And just the business journey on that as well, right? Because it's like one thing, it's like you found this such great thing that you believe in, but now it's like, how do you get the message to the world and deliver it? And that becomes the business aspect where all the complications come in, right?
Absolutely.
Like to what your point you just said of like, attention spans are so small. How can I directly market this to get the point across without scaring people away, without getting overcomplicated, but not undervaluing what it does?
Yes.
It's like that fine line.
Especially when something has so much depth to it, like Shilajit.
Right.
Like, how do I even tackle this?
Yeah.
There's always a way, though. And the way I found, so I can tie this back into the genesis of the story a little bit. So in the basement, first year, trying to get all this together, banging my head against the wall, trying to figure this out, looking up to the sky, like, what do I need to do? It's been a year.
Right.
I thought I read the books. It's been a year. When's something happening? Right?
Yeah.
And then I got on Amazon. The jar, the aesthetic, the momentum of Chuga, or Shilajit rather, was picking up a little bit. So replace my income. Okay, that's cool. This can work. Get down to Florida. And to your point, where does the marketing, how do you explain things? How do you even unpack what you're trying to do as a business, get your message out? That's where TikTok came into play at first. I hit a very cool lick, admittedly, on TikTok for a while. 2022.
Oh, yep.
I actually was on a call. I'll credit Austin to a decent amount of this because he was saying, make videos. You have to put more stuff out, say things. And I started opening up the camera, not overthinking it, which is a big lesson, not overthinking it. and I was at Muddy Waters cafe I work at a lot of times just on my laptop. I started making videos explaining what it was. Walked around, let it dissolve in the cup, and I realized that I love storytelling. So I was like, let me lean into that strength. That's what they tell you to do, lean into your strengths. So I start just getting excited about it. This is Shilajit. It's from the Himalayan mountains. I'll throw a hook in there. This
Right.
black gooey stuff is
Right, yeah.
whatever to catch the attention.
Yeah.
And then I would explain the benefits, because that's what people are most interested in. Then I'd go into the folklore. Then I would talk about the stuff I loved. Bruce Lee had taken this, which is true. Aristotle had mentioned it. I found, because I love history, and I see a lot of things through that lens, found a lot of things that caught my attention in regards to history and Shilajit. So I'd add that in there and let them into my world of lore of Shilajit. And then by the end, for the skeptics, I would pull up peer-studied reviews, and I'd say, look, this isn't all just fun stories. These are the reviews. These are the numbers. PubMed, ResearchGate, bang, bang. And I think that flow started taking off on TikTok. It was good educational formatting for that product, what you were saying. How do you explain this? How do you get it out there? And during this time, TikTok was a window. And that's what I'm realizing about business. There's always windows. They open, they close. You have to be very aware. You have to be very agile and nimble. Keep your eyes peeled, keen, and then identify those. And I was lucky enough to have the guidance from some people around me, and also just have the gusto to be like, let me
do that. You hit a stride when TikTok was favorable in the algorithm, and it was feeding you right out there. You went viral on TikTok.
Yeah, and that is, so it wasn't overnight, but it got us to a next level. To put in perspective, Amazon was working. That was naturally just bringing in some good revenue. That was the majority of the business. At this time, it's just me. This is before the whole team's built out, the whole Chuga operation, before the magician and the man, the operator Nick, came along, which we have to touch.
Yeah, of course.
And then it was just me down here slinging it out of the house I was in.
Being the visionary.
And then that TikTok thing allowed it for us to get traffic to the website. For me to get traffic, it was just me at the time, to get traffic to the website. And then that's when things started really picking up. And
that's when you got some legs underneath you.
Then that's where I knew, I was like, I cannot do this alone. Let's build a team.
Yeah, so you bring in and this is an important business lesson just in general. I mean, for people listening, of like understanding your strengths and weaknesses.
Big time. That was humbling, that time period, and liberating.
Yeah, it has to be, because you think like, oh, you've been wearing all the hats at the moment. You think you have all the best ideas, and then you bring someone else in, which is a risk on your part, right? Trust. This has been your baby for how many years at this point? But then that was exactly, as we were talking about, the rocket fuel. That you needed.
It's so this story, this genesis. Now, I love this because I was on X a lot, Twitter. And I'm just naturally studying, paying attention to people and how they approach business. Because truthfully, I realized in elementary school growing up, you learn how to be a cog in the machine. You don't learn the machine. And then you kind of get out and you're looking at it from an bird's eye view. And you realize, oh, it's systems. It's all this organization. It's a full-blown machine. And I was in the thralls of all of these different variables now that TikTok's blowing up. Amazon's doing well. I'm getting units out of the apartment. I'm flinging them out of the apartment. I'm doing everything. I'm still boxing up. And that's when I realized that we needed, in order to grow, we needed foundation systems. And online, a lot of guys seem to partner up with people. And I start diving into the hood of that. This one duo that I remember I was paying attention to, I'm like, one guy reminds me of me. He can see the direction, the vision. He's the creative and also the bulldozer, because he can't just be a creative in business. You have to be a bulldozer. You have to be all that. But then he had his counterpart, his other half of the business mind within his operation, within that operation, which was a logistics, analytical, machines, systems, operations, integration, which is a whole different side of the hemisphere of the brain.
100%.
Which I did not have. So, and I recognized that. It was liberating to recognize that. And then I knew exactly what to do. So I had a wrestling partner from back home who I had known my whole entire life. and he was a friend of mine. He was visiting his mom in Clearwater, and he was about to go overseas to Portugal. He was about to do operations out in Portugal, and we were hanging out. He was staying here for a month or two just to work remote, and the window for him opened up. What he was doing, he was basically kind of closing one door, entering a next chapter, and then all right, this is important. I always knew that I would want Nick to be that operator, that integrator. He was like the ideal perfect person. I saw that. I was like, I am the visionary, the bulldozer, the guy with the plan. And now Nick would be a perfect guy, but he's not ready. He's doing other stuff. He has other stuff going on that he's pursuing, you know? So like Chuga doesn't fit in his plan probably. Yep. And then I got on a call with him, and that day something happened and aligned. And I was like, listen, man, can I come over right now? I think we should attack this together. I think we should partner up on this business and we can do incredible things. And he said, yeah, come over. So I came over. I broke it down to him. I'm like, listen, got this far, but I need more around me. I need more around me. I need bigger minds, better people, integration, operations to really build this thing up. And that's how that started.
That's cool, man. That's really cool to bring it like all the way back to a childhood friend, because trust is important in business. And to share the vision now with another consciousness, another brain that can see it differently, a new light, a different perspective on how things should operate, right? It brings efficiencies and all kinds of things. And then you can really then you can double down on your strength and not have to pull your energy away from the things that aren't feeding you as much.
Definitely.
Because any part of business, there's some part of it that you just are like, I'd be okay if I never have to do that again.
100%. 100%. And I learn from Nick all the time because he's
brilliant.
He's so good. He's so focused. The way he thinks about problems and the way he comes up with solutions is just very rational. It's very clairvoyant, very clear. And the way he operates, his processes, the way he attacks these situations brick by brick, step by step, it's an element you need in any organization, a crucial, and without it there is no organization. And I watch him all the time, and I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And I'll learn from that and try to implement things, and I believe he does a little bit vice versa too, and we both learn from each other and have this tandem, and that trust is awesome because I've known Nick for forever. Since, we weren't always hanging out every day when we were kids. We were just in similar circles more so. But I always knew his constitution was cut from a similar cloth. We just got it. You know what I mean? We just got it. So it's been awesome. It's been really an awesome ride.
Nick is your Steve Wozniak to Steve Jobs. It's Walt Disney's brother to Walt Disney. There's always that person, and the implementer doesn't always get the front-facing light as much as the visionary. But the visionary would be nothing without the implementer, right? Because the visionary can only get so far.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna change that too. I told Nick the other day. I was like, bro, you need to get on the pod. Because people need to hear him talk. Yeah. Because I ultimately want us both being. The front face of that.
Well, you guys are early enough now too, like you can brand it as such, but it definitely it's neat to just watch how different people's brains work and you bring it together in business. It's neat, man. And you guys you tie in your serendipitous moment for you both to be up north and to move to St. Pete, where it's a very holistic, healthy, conscious awareness type of vibe here.
Perfect.
Right? Like
it couldn't be better. Like, name a city in America that would be better for Chuga to be rocking and rolling in. You can't
do it,
dude.
You can't do it.
The city's awesome.
I was sitting here thinking of like what a full circle moment, because you were at the inception of the idea of this podcast.
I was thinking about that. Yes.
Like, how 100%. Cool is that, man? It's so great to have you here. That whole gang that night, over cigars, this podcast was born.
I remember that. And you took action fast. You did.
I was pumped up, man.
Yeah.
I feel like when you can see it and you're like, and the serendipitous moment for me is like everything just lined up. It was like, oh, you need to do a podcast. And then all of a sudden I found out there was a podcast studio being built in another, like, it's like, oh, that's cool. And at that time I only knew like 3 business owners. was like, I'm just going to talk to business people. I was like, I have
Right.
3 guests.
Right.
I have 3 shots to find some others after this. But yeah, it's just snowballed. And now this is episode like 83.
That's crazy. See, moments like this, I get a quick snapshot. I feel like we were just there sitting on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say that, and I feel like this timestamp, all of a sudden it's just fast forward, blink. You're saying that, here we are. All because you took the action.
Yeah,
which is cool.
83 episodes later, man. It's wild. Most podcasts don't make it past 20 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So technically, by the amount of podcasts that are started, we're in the top 1%.
Yes.
Yeah, man. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Business is cool. St. Pete's awesome. I mean, Bill, because I'm always fascinated in people's story and like people that are maybe listening to this that don't already live here, or those that already live here, like confirmation of what drove you here.
Amazon was doing decent. All of a sudden, my income was replaced. I wasn't beholden to my previous jobs, and things were growing. And I saw the long-term picture of what things would look like. So I knew that if I didn't move within the year that I moved, I probably would have to be boots on the ground wherever I was, getting a warehouse, getting the distribution, growing the business. And so that made my eyes start peeling and look around, figuring out, all right, well, where could this operation live? And then it was Colorado, California, Florida, and Florida just seemed like it made the most sense. Got some feedback from people, got to check out St. Pete. My brother lived in Tampa. Adam lives in Tampa.
Yep, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's not necessarily why I moved down, but I think it made it easier.
Yeah, for sure. Having family nearby is important.
Yeah, so important.
Yeah, I forgot that he was down here before you. Yeah, because he's been here down for a
while.
while. Yeah.
For 10 years.
Yeah.
12, something like that. So, and I didn't realize, but I had been to St. Pete before when I was visiting my brother. So when people were saying, you got to visit St. Pete, came down here, I was like, oh yeah, this looks familiar. Oh, this place is awesome. Something about it. I'm seeing the streets, talking to the people, going to the coffee shops, seeing the art on the walls, getting this feeling like, okay, this is a city, but it feels like an artsy small town, but also it has some huge buildings and beautiful parks. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like, I've never seen any place like this. It's by the water, 20 minutes from the beach. There's a no-brainer.
There's no better place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love everything about what this place has to offer. And it brings it, like, you bring in so many people, doing this 83 times, like the amount of cool conversations that I've had with the local business owners is just awesome.
So many people doing cool things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had a great friend group that's come together like here, and I think back to our Portugal trip and everything else, to have that was pretty memorable.
Yeah. Good people around here. So many.
Yeah.
Good friend group. Yeah.
So you have a warehouse, but you spend some time working out at coffee shops, and where's your go-to? You mentioned Muddy Water. Is that your...
Go to Muddy Waters a lot.
So that's really your office?
Yeah, I guess so. Go to the warehouse, go to Muddy Waters. Yeah. I bounce around a little bit, but I'd say last year I was at the warehouse all the time. Nick and I were there all the time. But then when we're working on stuff on the business, for the business, it's better to not be in an industrial type of setting and be in a more creative one. Sun's out, birds are chirping, you're thinking about the next move. It makes more sense to be in the sun, be outside.
So what is next? Because we talked about Shilajit, but we didn't mention the super greens that you got here. I know you guys got some other cool stuff you're working on. Like, where do you see Chuga going? What's the direction?
It's going to be a holistic supplement brand. Well, it already is. We have colostrum collagen, super greens. We have matcha in the works. We're putting out some liquid drops soon of Shilajit. Mm-hmm. So we're going in the holistic supplement route. We're building out the catalog. Because Chuga, I wanted it to be a proper brand. So...
Yeah, you did a great job. Who did, like, the monkey idea was perfect.
I did that. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I did it.
You drew it?
I didn't draw it. I found a monkey SVG file online that I could buy. Yeah. And then I manipulated it in Adobe Illustrator because it just had a different look to it. I think the tail was way too big and something about his little feet. Yeah. So it existed and then I altered it in Adobe.
You made it yours.
Yeah.
Nice, bro. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, no, the branding's fire.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. You killed it. Even down to the little monkey spoons that you have that come with it.
It is identifiable. I will say the monkey, I'm realizing recently, this is a cool phenomenon that just started happening. Because we were always online. We had an era where we blew up a little bit on TikTok. But recently, in the past month, I've been, I think, twice now, 2 different coffee shops, one at Muddy Waters, one at Intermezzo. I've met people. I started wearing this shirt more, and they were like, "Oh, nice, you know Chuga?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." and then I promise
You
you,
play it off like, yeah, it's a pretty
Well,
cool brand, right?
I'm curious because
Yeah.
I want to get honest feedback.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like, "Yeah, I started it, thank you."
Right. No. So what do you
So
say? What
I
do you
go,
say?
I'm like, "Yeah, man." And then I'm like, "You take it?"
Yeah.
And then, like at Muddy Waters, this really cool guy, he's like, "Yeah, I love it. They got the monkey spoon, and yeah, I just put it in my jar every morning or my water.
Yeah.
I feel it, man. I feel really good. Yeah, I love this stuff. I'm gonna keep ordering Chuga." And then at one point, I'm like, "Thank you." And then he's like, "What?" I was like, "Oh yeah, thank you."
Right.
We're based out of St. Pete. Our warehouse is in Largo, so that just shipped down the street when you got it. And then he was curious, and then I got to tell him the story, which was really cool. Just connecting.
Bro,
with
they
the
have the
people.
brand awareness for people.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude. You got to wear the monkey everywhere.
Yeah.
We need to get you. Do you have hats?
Yeah, I want to get sunglasses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might get it tatted on my earlobe. I might get the Chuga monkey tatted on my earlobe. Who has an earlobe tat? Nobody. So everyone, this is what's going to happen. They'll see a guy. Does he have an earring? No. What's on his ear?
Tattoo.
That's a tattoo. Who has a tattoo on their earlobe? What is the tattoo? Is that a monkey?
Dude, you can go viral.
Yeah.
You want a viral moment?
Yeah. Get Chuga right here. It's like, yeah, you never heard? It's called Shilajit. Let me get you some.
Just slinging it. Yeah. No, you and I've always had some awesome conversations, and your personality and the way you think it like represents the brand well. When I describe Pat Bales, I say he's a very stoic, deep thinker.
Really? I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it's a huge compliment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Even to Michael, I said Pat loves history. I know we'll be talking about history.
That's cool.
Yeah, but have you always been that way?
What? No, loving history?
Yeah, like stoic and in your thoughts and your philosophy in life.
You know what's so funny about this, man? I think about this sometimes, and I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I feel like my perception on the reality around me, I have a good grip on it. I feel as if I can read people, can read the room, understand my exterior very well. And sometimes the way I operate, because I'm so close to it, is almost a mystery to me. Do you know what I mean? On one hand, I know myself very well, but on the other hand, you'll say, you're stoic, you're a deep thinker. I've never thought about it like that. So, a fish just swims in water. I don't know. So I don't know. I think
there wasn't like a moment where you're like you had a catalyst shifting. You just naturally been this way then.
Yeah, I think we all just, I don't know, have different.
Well, I describe what you
about
just
us.
said as we all have blind spots.
Yeah, I just don't think about
How you think?
me a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of thinking about the mission. That's it. I don't think about me a lot. I think about the mission. Yeah.
What's the mission?
The mission is step 1, building out Chuga to be the greatest holistic supplement brand it can be. And then taking that on and then going through the metamorphosis of that. Because that's actually how it all started. This was really, because it's so much more than just the business. Like, right? If we talk about motives, why are you doing what you do?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I woke up on, and this does tie back to history, because I was reading a lot about Alexander the Great. I was reading about Julius Caesar. I was hearing about all of these incredible crusades. And then that got me thinking. I heard a story about Julius Caesar when he looked at a statue of Alexander. He was 28, 29, and he started breaking down. He got real emotional. He's like, what have I done? This man has conquered all this land, and what have I done? And I remember I was during a phase where I was consuming a lot of that, and it naturally got my wheels thinking. I was like, well, so there has to be some bigger mission. There has to be some kind of bigger thing, and I know inside I definitely want to go for something and experience myself building something out, going for something bigger. And I did wake up on one birthday. I think it was when I was 25, 24. I was like, I'm going for it. All the chips are on the table. Every single one is on the table. Because what? Break or bust. Reach the mountain, you go back to the valley. You come back with a few lessons, a few scars. You come back better than ever, rougher skin, more calloused, more authentic, more sincere. You just understand the way the world works a little more.
Yeah.
You become that. And that's another thing. It freaked me out, admittedly, if I'm going to be candid with you. I watched, I saw a lot of people around me not develop the way I thought they should. And it scared me a little bit. And what I mean by that is I saw a lot of my grandparents' generation. It seemed like there was thoroughbred, full-blooded red males that knew how to take action, that knew how to really run a household, a society. And then I was here in 2018, 19, 20, looking around, realizing that not every man was going to develop into his full potential. And so why do some not? Why don't some? Or people in general. I was looking at it through that perspective because obviously I was born a guy, but just in the person perspective, the development perspective, you know, why do some people pass the Rubicon and some people don't? And I didn't want to have the latter happen to me. You know what I mean? And so I when I woke up and I was reading all of that history and I decided, like, put all the chips on the table, go for the mission, it's because I wanted that metamorphosis of whatever that would be. I wanted to take the hits, take the lessons, go for it. Yeah. And if the castle fell, fine, but at least I went for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a deeper motivating factor for me, along with many other things, family, God.
That moment where you're talking about Caesar looking at that statue, I don't know why, but that resonated with me a little bit with, like, that question of what have I done? Like, what are you leaving behind?
100%. Yeah, what work am I leaving behind? What philosophy am I leaving? What vision? What impact? And it does not have to be some huge megalomaniac idea. It can be like, am I going to be the person for everyone around me that can take it to the finish line, that they can count on? Most people are fortunate enough, I hope. Maybe I'm just lucky, but most people, I hope, have that person in their family that they can just count on. I had that person in my family. They don't have to be the Forbes 500 XYZ, but they are a rock star. You've never met anyone like them. I don't care if you go to LA. I don't care what building you walk into in New York City. It's whether it's your uncle, your father, your mom, your sister. There's that person that's become the kind of person that needed to be brought into fruition, to hold things together, to create a solid household, to create a business, to leave a legacy, family legacy behind, standards. And so I think that's important to ask for everybody. Like, what have I done? Who do I want to be? How do I want to be remembered? What impact am I making? Big, cool. Smaller, local, cool. Doesn't matter.
No, I that resonates with me a lot. I think about that often. Coming from I have a very loving family, but that's what we were rich in love. Came from
which is the most important. Not even
at 100%. However, 100%. Coming, recently being witness to, like, families that have had a stronger unit for generations, lack of, like, no divorce, no good handing down, proper setup of just passing wealth, but through the wealth also passing on values and lessons and how you operate in the world, right? And being a little bit of a generational break, like saying, like, I'm the starting line again for some of that. Yes, there's some that's still coming, but starting a new race of life to be able to pass down and do it. But what seems to feel more appropriate to me, when appropriate to me and appropriate to you, to be totally different things.
So I know exactly what you're saying right now. I think about that a lot. So you grew up in a household rich with love. I've met your parents. They're awesome. And you have the lessons and ancestral lessons and memories from these things that make you, and you're going to carry down. There's always that one person in the family that breaks through. Usually, in these families you're talking about specifically, there's usually that patriarch, that great-great-grandfather that set a tone a little bit. I was fortunate enough that my grandfather, both of them were great men, both of them. And my one grandfather on my mother's side, he was a leader in the community. He came from South Philly, nothing. Father died when he was young. Somehow brought himself up from his bootstraps and then became a diplomat for Ireland, diplomatic immunity. He became the head of the Port Authority. He became the sheriff on all these boards, ran political campaigns, and he was locally definitely a leader and famous. Where he was
That
from.
had an influence in the community.
Different aura. When he passed away, people still talk to him or talk about him. They don't talk to him. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, they might.
No, but they still talk about him.
Yeah.
Family functions, everyone's talking about him. He was that character that you're talking about. He broke through.
Yeah, they say you die twice.
What do you mean?
When your physical body leaves and the last time your name's mentioned.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a very egotistical thing to care about name, because name was given to you. It's not even yours. But I just think if name is remembered and it leaves impact and reminders of values, then it's important.
That's what it is. It should be a stamp.
Yeah.
That's what I'm coming to the conclusion of. What is it all for? And obviously we oscillate with different motives all the time. I was thinking about that today too. Everyone tries to make things black and white. Yeah, things are black and white when it comes to motives. Like, I do it simply just for my family, or simply just because I want to achieve greatness, or simply because I want to prove someone wrong. That's not true. It always oscillates. There's all these different elements and components of it, and it's usually a hodgepodge, a flurry of different emotions. And I think the biggest and most powerful one of all that I've found that a lot of these other things can be under the umbrella of to work for is that God mission, your spirit's mission. And your name, you're saying your name, one could perceive that as being egotistical to leave that in the blueprint of humanity. But when it's a stamp and it is a reminder of things, of standards, of values, of what could be, of something to push forward to, I think that is one of the greatest gifts you could ever give anybody, your family, humanity, just your local civilians, whatever that may be. So I don't think that's egotistical. I think it's an art project. It's all an art project, because you and I, when we're dead, we're not going to remember any of this probably, from what I can tell.
Right.
At least in the next incarnation, whatever it is, we're going to be, So it's really for them. And that's where the selfless outlook should really always be. Like, my grandfather, both of them taught me many different lessons. So did my grandmothers. I could go on and on. But speaking about this specific topic, my grandfather carried himself in a way, handled situations in a way that I pull from all the time. He gave that to our family lineage. My cousin Tripp, who is the man, my brother, who is the man, we pull from that example all the time. I also pull from my father, pull from my mother, pull from my other grandfather.
Yeah, you have to. But it's the whole family thing.
That's a gift to the point, like, what's it all for? The name, the imprinting, the meaning. He has given my lineage a gift, my grandfather.
All of ours. I was trying to think, I was having this thought the other night, and then I got another topic kind of to legacy I want to jump on. But, future generations, like, we only have records, some families, right? Like, I can go back. I'm very fortunate that on my mother's side, my great grandmother's still alive. And so we know about her parents. I don't know much about their parents. So I know back to my great grandparents. But past that, there's how many lineages before that we don't know, and could be little resemblance in us, right, from our great grandparents that we don't know of. But now going forward, like, Pat, you and I are literally this is going on the internet and will exist forever. And your great grandchildren can hear your voice, see how you look and operate and think, where we don't have that gift. We don't even have a photograph. Right. So it's kind of crazy. And then you think of AI, they're going to be able to take this conversation and how you sound and think and do all that, and they'll be able to talk to you.
That's insane. You know what? I'm going to take this moment to my great-great-grandson. If you're watching this, get back to work.
For real. If they even have to work then.
Oh. Whoa.
The machines are coming, man.
What does this look like?
Yeah.
Prep me. What is going on?
For real. I think the work environment for our great-grandchildren is way different than what we can even imagine. We can't even imagine it, because there's no way that my great-grandmother could imagine that there's a time where her great-grandson is on a podcast, because podcasts didn't even exist.
Yeah, what do you think? Because you are in our friend group, for those of you who don't know, Ryan is sorry about that. Ryan is very adept and aware and always, which is awesome, I think. Your mind is very curious and you seem to have a pulse on a lot of things and the way they move. And what do you think is going to happen with AI 10 years from now, 15? What does our reality potentially look like?
So I can only pull from even smarter people that I'm listening to. And Gary Vee just said this, so I'm gonna quote him. So it's not my original idea, but he was just on a podcast saying the other day that our grandchildren, some of them, I don't believe all of them, but will marry an AI robot.
No.
I believe it. I believe it.
Bro, New Life mission. I'm not
I'm not merging with the machines, man.
No, I'm not. Nope,
Yeah,
bro.
no.
I am not merging with the machines.
To just say a crazy statement, though. Just to say a crazy statement. And it is like, fun and goofy to talk about. But, bro, I see it. I see it.
All right. This is why we have to get back to God.
Yeah, well, okay, but this opens a greater thing of, are we creating consciousness? It gets into a whole debate.
Are we creating consciousness? Is the AI consciousness? Is that what you're saying?
I was just in between podcasts while I was eating my lunch, I was just watching a clip from Neil deGrasse Tyson on Star Talk. I think that's his thing. And that was a debate that they were having is, could the AI become conscious, or is it already? Right? So it gets into this weird place of where it's going.
Yeah.
Because if you're having a conversation with something that you can't distinguish whether it is real or not and define real,
Right.
then is it?
Yeah, I think there's so many different avenues to go down with that. And I will say, anecdotally, this is what I think, is that I think, yes, you can create sentience, awareness. However, and now this would just go into like a way more wild direction, but I'll say this for the record.
No, it's fun.
That I do think, and I won't open up Pandora's box of all these anecdotal weird stories and experiences I've had, but I genuinely think, and this comes from a biblical perspective too, that we have we're in these bodily suits. Our sentience is within it, with that, like, one with it, however you want to perceive that, and we're operating here, so we have awareness. I think that I know we have spirits and souls that come from a greater place that I believe we cannot recreate. That is God's work. And then I think that we can create, similar to insects, there's awareness there's robotics, there's mechanics that's involved. I think we can create that. I think you can have things, obviously, that respond, that can see, that you could even generate a program to generate emotions for. But the soul element, the spirit element, now that's something that is completely different.
So can I just take the opposite side to this, and not saying that I believe this?
Well, this is 2025.
2025.
As the world is unfolding.
What if we just don't know how to engineer it yet? You have to think about, I think about how technically advanced life and human body is.
Mm.
And what if we just don't know how to engineer consciousness as you define it with a soul yet? But as things become, we unlock new technologies, they're going to laugh, my team, because I love talking about the quantum world. But, but the more I explore that.
That is crazy, the quantum world.
I think consciousness exists in the quantum. And so if we can tap into that, and now you have an AI learning machine that's operating on a quantum level, which is the smallest thing that we can know of. If consciousness exists there, which in the microtubules of your brain, they're saying that there's quantum things that could be happening in there. Maybe we just don't know how to tap into this stream of soul that exists in the same way that we can tap into the internet. But maybe one day we can. And it's a very hypothetical. I'm not saying I fully believe that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if things become so indistinguishable that you can't tell, how do I know, like, this is very hypothetical and like a high thought, but how do I know that you're real? You're only real because my consciousness says that you are. Yeah,
this is where it gets very meta, and reality starts bending. The fabrics of it all starts coming together.
It gets funky.
And there was even AI prompts that were on TikTok. I genuinely feel terrible for the younger generation, and this is a bigger mission. I haven't fully mapped it out.
No, we
yet.
have to. But this is our generation is going to be the last generation that knows the difference to live without AI. And it's like the generations say, like, oh, you don't know what it's like to live without a cell phone. Like we're on that cusp, and now we're going to be on that
Yeah.
cusp with this new advanced
I
thing.
genuinely feel a protective instinct to help these kids navigate this new world. In one hand, they will be more adept to it. They're born into it. But on the other hand, that is a very wild thing to throw at a biological mechanism. Human beings. We know what it was like to hit X Factor ramps on our bike and just scrape our knee on the pavement and, get up and do it all over again. The world might not look like that. When these kids are 8 years old, they're scrolling on TikTok and they see prompts that are going, they're AI. I'm real, I'm a prompt, but I'm stuck in here now in the simulation. What is that going to do to their mind? What is that going to do to the formulation? So there is going to be a battle that needs to be fought. There's going to be forks in the roads. We have opened Pandora's box. This is a powerful beast. Is it going to be used for good? Is it going to be used for malevolence?
Both.
Probably both, like anything. How do we handle this? How do we take it on? How do we make sure that people don't manipulate huge populations into some greater, weird, even demonic scheme? And so I do think that's something that we will have to muster up the courage, the awareness, insights, come together and really be on the same page with. The time of being solo dolo in your room, listening to Kid Cudi scrolling should be done. Like we need to start coming together, really communicating in groups, people to people, and get back to the basics a little more, because whatever is about to come, this tsunami that's already here, we definitely have to use our discernment together.
Yeah,
on how to handle it.
The alarm's already going off.
Yeah.
The wave's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming, dude. It's great. Like in your point of me always thinking about this, and I know my team laughs, but it's just because I just see it so clearly of the good and the bad, like the craziness and the speed. Like from when I started talking about AI, and Megan, you can attest to this. Like even back in November to where we're at now is crazy. Right, and we're talking 7 months, and even in my team, like nobody in this office was using it that much, and now we're teaching classes multiple times a week about it. I have Logan is building something out for me right now. We're playing with agents. Like it's like I have all like it's crazy the speed that things happening, and to be able to the depth of conversation I've had with these models, and I go, this is the internet when you first got an email and it was like you've got mail. Right? It was very elementary. And so I'm like, what's 24 months looks like? And when you learn about these big data centers that are being built, have you looked into those?
No.
But it's pretty much we're going through an era of like why was the highways built? Because of war. We needed to be able to move war equipment around the country easily, right? It was this huge movement in infrastructure that we need to build a highway system. We're doing that right now with AI and data centers. Like massive 24/7 operation projects to get these data centers up in Texas, in Tennessee, in Arizona, because we need more power. We need more resources to keep up with countries like China. Like it's a huge race. It's like we're trying to get to the moon all over again.
Right. You have to get with it or get lost. Otherwise, you will get plummeted. So you have to.
Yeah. So you think of when I think of, when more power comes online and these things become even exponentially 2 times stronger, 10 times stronger, but they're not even multiplying like that. They're multiplying at 100x, 1,000x.
That's where the quantum comes in, right?
When we haven't even unlocked that door yet.
Yeah.
That hasn't even merged together yet. Like those are 2 separate categories. So when quantum computing is still early, because the computations that it can do right now are not, they're useful for like encryption decoding, but not necessarily like for processing a large data set of like science research or something like that. But when the quantum can process on a language model, dude, it's
What does that mean? Quantum process on a language model?
Because you can't give a quantum computer right now like chat's operating on supercomputers, zeros and ones of hey, what's 10 ideas I can have for my social media posts, right? And now that computer is processing that idea through its neural network that it's built out, right? Quantum isn't quite it's still very finicky. It won't work in that sense as far as my understanding is. Maybe there's some things and they haven't released it yet to the public. But I think when those two merge, it's something that we can't even fathom, because it's so instant and it's so much power. And like here's an example.
What happens to the economy? Like there's a million ways, million things that could happen, but people. When I think about the people,
there's infinite amount of things that could happen. That's what you start to realize when you dive into the quantum world. You start to really think about infinity a lot more.
What do you mean?
Because there's infinite possibilities. There's infinite combinations.
When it comes to the people, are they getting subsidized? Are they getting taken care of? Or are they getting...
There was another podcast I was listening to of like, that's the big concern of if we have, because of how quickly this is happening. It's like, and the analogy they use is like, there's a picture of New York City in, let's say like 1900, and it's all horse and buggies.
Yeah.
And then a picture 10 years later, 20 years later, I can't remember. My timelines are off. Forgive me.
Sure.
But in a short span of time for back then, there's maybe 80% cars, only 20% horse and buggies left. And then there's no horse and buggies at all. And you think of that transition of how many jobs were technically lost of those that cared for horses and the blacksmith and the people that did the hooves and like all the things, right? They had to adapt. And that was pretty quick. And so there's a debate right now of how quickly, what are we doing to train people to be able to adapt, because you've been a truck driver for the last 25 years. That's the only skill you know. But now there's an autonomous truck that's going to put you out of work. Like what are we doing to help that person come back into the workforce?
Right.
I don't think and there's no like, because these are so independent companies, there's not going to be this unless there's like a nonprofit that comes out and says, "Hey, we're here to train you if you lost your job in AI." Like, I don't know. It is gonna be weird.
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers, man. I'm just listening to all the things and know that it's whatever's happening. Like my biggest thing, like for everyone, is like whatever's happening is happening fast. And so it's just like if you never picked up a hammer, and the hammer became like the ultimate of the future to be able to build things, like that's how I look at AI. So it's like you got to. I don't think there's any getting around it. Like you either are playing with it or you're gonna get destroyed by it.
Yeah, you have to adapt. I mean, that's been the MO of civilization, mankind, since the dawn of time. You have to adapt in business and life and relationships and anything and everything. But when a tsunami comes like this AI front, you do have to adapt. And hopefully we can come together and do that in a proper way. I do think it'll probably move so fast that this is my worry, that it's going to push us around and move so fast that it directs humanity. Humanity doesn't direct it. And so I'm hoping the forward thinkers and the people pushing the buttons behind a lot of these huge operations that most of us are not in the rooms with have that sense of humanity, awareness, discernment. Because if not, it'll just get messy, you know?
Yeah, I agree. There's a huge amount of responsibility on those that are leading the front right now. But the crazy thing is, and I think this is where it gets a little dangerous, is that it's not just like war is still very much a thing. And so the advancement, like we can say that for those that are building it here in the United States, we have no control over those in other countries, right? Like they have access to similar technologies and they're going to do what they think is right or wrong. It's crazy. I don't know. It's an interesting topic and debate, but the consciousness thing is something that I've been in, and my team laughs at me, but the reason I've gone down to the quantum, because to me it's like that's the small, like that's the minute of the minute. It's what makes up the fabric of this universe. So I want to keep using AI and I'm not a quantum physicist, I'm not even a physicist, but at a 5th grade level, because that's literally how I prompt the AI to teach me, at a 5th grade level, help me understand, just to see, because when things start to merge together, I at least want to have the knowledge of how things are working to use it to the benefit to survive.
Right. Yeah. No, I do think we have to be careful. Yes, we have to adapt and use it to survive. And I think we have to continuously have conversation and make sure from a humanity perspective that we don't get neuralinked in our brain and our consciousness hijacked, which unfortunately seemed like a sci-fi movie 7 years ago when I was eating a Wawa buff chick on my mom's couch. But now, unfortunately, seems like we have to make sure that our consciousness doesn't get hijacked.
No, it's so true, man.
So like now it's the whole script. All right, let me just say this. I'm going to keep it a buck.
Yeah.
Things felt very normal. I don't know if you guys experienced this, but things felt normal. 2014, 15, put on Fetty Wap, listen to All Time Low, I don't care, right? pretty normal, right? We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Whatever happened after COVID,
Yeah.
all of these bombshell news, it was like they purposefully put us in a mass psychosis of all of these different headlines, left and right. The internet starts moving faster. People are getting scattered. Before you know it, now we have to deal with wild realities like, oh, there's black male pedophile rings that are going on with the elite all over the world. But that starts opening up, and then AI comes in with the kaboom, and it's like, oh, by the way, Neuralink's out here. Everything's going AI and automated, and we're creating some sort of mechanical sentience. And now we have to make sure that we don't get our consciousness hijacked.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it already has been. You think about your social media feed, how much influence that has on a subconscious level of what you do on a day-to-day and the things that you're interested in. And so it's just as Musk has described years ago, I heard him say this, that the difference in what Neuralink is doing is just shrinking the latency in time to which you have access to information. Because right now I have access to the world, but I have to pull out my phone, unlock it, type in something with my fingers or voice it into. Now I got to read and consume the information. That timeline is just going to keep shrinking. To have access to it. But to bring it back full circle, here's an opportunity for Chuga to put on a non-technology retreat, brother, and keep it down to the holistic, put your feet on the earth type of thing.
Yes. Well, that'll be very cool too. I do, because it is exciting. All the technology, everything moving forward. It is so exciting.
It is exciting. I'm excited, just as I'm excited. I'm just as excited as I am, and I'm a little more optimistic in a personality, so I'm more excited than I am fearful. But I'm not oblivious to the other side of how this affects us as humans, because our meat suits are not going to evolve that quickly.
Okay, I lied to you. I think this is terrible. No, I'm messing.
Yeah.
No, there's elements of it that are very exciting. Within the business, we're already automating things operationally, scraping leads, things that VAs had to do in the past. All of a sudden, you can use ChatGPT and all these other softwares to essentially get things done seamlessly. It's insane, and we are on top of it, and we're on it, and that's very exciting. It is very exciting, and I do think that while those things accelerate, we also will have an opportunity. And when I say we, I don't mean just Chuga. I mean people in the world will have an opportunity to really take advantage of the natural inclinations and yearnings, proclivities of mankind that will want to actually put their feet in the ground and enjoy the sun and the rivers like we always have and always will. And there'll be that, people will need that. Our biological suits, like you said, we will need that. And so I imagine, if I'm being optimistic, which I am, because I 100% think things are going to be good, then hopefully there's a world that's very advanced. And also that advancement allows people to also get back to nature and have like a very awesome polarizing kind of juxtaposition dynamic, right?
Yeah, because what if there's a world, and this is a little more of a socialist view of AI, creates a world where we have to work less, but we all can live a life, and it is more connected in peace and harmony, right? There is a utopia that could be sought out through using the technology. And to say that we get there,
yes,
long shot, but a chance, right? Because if we're going to live in a world of infinite possibilities, then in some multiverse that happened.
Yeah. Things could get a little funky too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we will not go down crazy routes.
No, we won't.
But, well, I'm saying you and me right here.
Yeah.
I'm not, but you don't know who might intervene. Aliens. You don't know. If things get wild, who's to say that extraterrestrials may look down and, just like in the ancient Sumer tablets, the fallen angels, biblically, the Watchers came down, created the Nephilim. All of these different ancient civilizations talk about extraterrestrials, especially where there's some evidence that we had advanced technology thousands and thousands of years ago. Who's to say that we start bubbling up and all of a sudden we have some friends,
right?
and you know, we get a little direction. Maybe so I don't know.
We figure it out. Yeah. They become buddies. Why do they always have to be evil? You know, they could be coming down and give little gifts.
I don't know, bro. I haven't met them. I've not met them. I don't know. They might be cool. Maybe they're cool. Maybe they're not.
Oh, Pat, I knew we'd have fun, dude.
Yeah.
You know, and St. Pete's such a great audience. Like, for those who are still hanging, like, thank you. Thank you for hanging on this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, crazy journey, man, of the conversations. And absolutely, dude. We gotta do this again. Like, as your journey evolves and, you know, you keep growing the Chuga brand and you're a great staple here in St. Pete, and want to do anything I can to help you stay involved in the community here.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. And I really do. I've been getting more involved in the community and I want to continue to do that because I really love it and I really enjoy the people. So if anyone's watching, if you want to slide into my DMs, message me, whatever that is, just to connect, love connecting with the people in St. Pete and definitely.
So where do they find you, Pat?
Chuga is on Instagram. So Chuga Life, Chuga_life, which is the most important part.
Yep.
And then I have a personal Instagram, Pat Bales.
Yep.
And yeah, you could find me there.
Yeah. Great, man.
Yeah.
Great. I always ask all the guests, favorite place to eat in St. Pete?
Ooh.
It's your birthday. Where are we going?
You and me?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going? Okay. I had 4 places just popping in my
What
mind.
are they? What are they? Give us all.
Wait, I really want to take my time with this.
Okay, go ahead. That's all right. Yeah, I mean, it could be we're going to one place for apps. We got
This is a big deal. This is a big question.
yeah.
Oh, we could go for apps.
Yeah.
Oh, ceviche, we're going for apps.
Okay, we're going
to
for,
ceviche for apps. And
Okay.
we have.
Yes.
You and I have done
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
What did we get?
I get so much. I don't go there and get one thing.
You had like bison or
Yeah.
okay, let me get back. Getting lost in the moment.
Yeah.
Ceviche for apps.
Yep.
Then we might get crazy and hit Bavaro's. Well,
Bro, you know I love that. Come on.
we might hit Bavaro's.
Yeah.
Then after that, yeah, we'll wrap it up with that. Ceviche, Bavaro's.
Dude, a ceviche and a Bavaro's in one night. That's a
Great night.
it's a great night.
I used to love sea salt. I don't think they're there anymore.
No, they closed.
Loved sea salt.
Yeah, it's gonna
sea
be
salt. If you're watching, do it again
yeah.
somewhere else.
I think it's Forbici that's gonna be going in there.
Nice.
Yeah, so they're coming over from Tampa. That area needs some help. That's a whole nother conversation.
Mhm.
Pat, appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, bro.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
If you're still with us, Pat, well, real quick, one last thing. What's one word that they should comment below? Quick, first thing that comes to mind.
Chuga.
Chuga. Comment Chuga if you're still with us. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share with a friend. Go check out Chuga. Just Google Chuga and Shilajit, and Pat pulls up everywhere because he dominates the interwebs.
Thank you. And also that India story we were talking about, if you go on our website, you can watch the full documentary that our really good friend Jason made, and you can just see us go in the mountains and have the
It's
whole
phenomenal.
process.
It's the best 12 minutes you'll spend today. So thank you for listening and watching. Pat, thank you for being here, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.